ladies and gentlemen, nor the noisy APU. But I'm going to show you why, if it's not one of your rules, it should be one of your rules. Doesn't matter if you're driving for 10 days or 10 years. Always, 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 always know where your ass is. Always. If you don't, this is what happens. This happened right next to me, and I heard it. The driver who hit it just left, but look, this driver who was in this truck was asleep, and he was straight in his spot. And it not only dragged his entire trailer or truck over, it moved a loaded trailer 7 feet to the right. Bro. Come on, man. Jeez. Shame on the mess. Good morning, gang. Eric here, driver lineup, World Located steering wheel holder. And it is super early in the morning, like 4 a.m. And well, I've had quite a stretch of loads, been running quite the clock kung fu, which we'll talk about that in a bit. But as you saw in the intro there, it was quite a night last night. Quite a night, man. I've been running splits for like since last week. I've been running splits like every day, and so I was already somewhat stressed for a few reasons. I needed to get off the customer that I was at delivering in just perfect time, and I needed to get, I mean, it just had to be perfect in order to do the 7 hours on my 7-3 split, because this morning I needed to I only had like an hour and a half to get washed out, the reefer fueled, and get to this customer in time for me to park and do a 10-hour break, because this customer has to be run straight through overnight tonight. So if I didn't get to this customer in time to do a 10-hour break, I probably wouldn't be able to do this load. So it was crazy. I was already stressed. Then I get over to this lot, this staging lot that allows overnight parking last night, and all that was there was really tight, nasty, ugly blindside parking. It was just gnarly. There's two sides, and all the driver side parking was taken, and it was just blind side. And man, I'm just telling you, it was gnarly. So, and it's dark, it's dark late. So I get into the spot, and the second that I pop the brake, I had my window down. The second I pop my brake, and I take a big sigh of relief that I actually, got into this spot. There's, because I had to work around another truck. Now, fortunately, there wasn't one on my left side, which made it pretty comfortable, relatively speaking, but I had to work around another truck that I couldn't see. So it's just kind of just knowing where your trailer is going to go, and if you have to get out and look, you get out and look. But the second I popped the brake, man, I heard this crunching sound. And at first it really freaked me out, because there's these little porta potties that I saw earlier in the day when I was parked there that were right about where my truck was. So my instant thought was, did I just back into those 3 porta potties? But it quickly didn't make any sense, because I would have heard them as I was going back, and I would have saw them too when I eyed the spot. But that was kind of that split second. That's what I thought happened. And as soon as I looked out the window, I see this truck coming right towards me, and there's just smoke billowing out from behind his trailer. And he was finishing this whole crunching, screeching, popping sound. And from the look, it looked like his trailer hit a massive pothole because his trailer was bouncing. And I was like, what the F is going on over there? Because I couldn't see to the other side of his trailer. All I saw was the back of his trailer bouncing and smoke coming up from the back of his trailer. I mean, this is like right next to me. So I'm just like so confused. But it did, I don't wish anything to happen to any driver, but it did make me feel better knowing that it wasn't those damn outhouse porta potties behind me. So, you know, I get up and I walk around the back of the trailer, and man, he just totaled this truck. He was coming in behind me, preparing to do a blindside maneuver around me, which I'm glad that didn't happen. And caught down the side of the trailer. It busted a bunch of cross members underneath the trailer. Busted up some stuff on the back of the trailer, bent his bumper, but the truck that he got a hold of was just absolutely totaled. Ripped the whole front end off of it. Significant, substantial damage to the radiator. There was axle damage. His left steer, the rim was all damaged. All kinds of stuff behind that tire was damaged. Just absolute destruction. And it's just crazy to see that happen, because it wasn't just the tail end of the trailer swinging when he began to come out, and when he was going to try to come out in front of me and set up for the spot. He'd started hitting this truck, you know, 2/3 down the trailer. So it wasn't just the tail swing. I mean, he just miscalculated this entire maneuver. And I talked to him after. I talked to both the drivers. In fact, the driver that got hit, I actually went and helped him quite a bit after this whole thing. But I talked to both drivers, and this driver had been driving, the one that hit him had been driving for 7 years. And he looked at me and he said, man, I had my eyes on this, what I thought could be a spot on the left side, and I just didn't look at my right mirror. And I thought, man, it really, I'm already super cautious. I don't ever want to be overconfident, but it made me, in fact, I told Jenna when I was talking to her last night, I said, it just makes me want to be even more careful, because that dude's been driving for 7 years and he just caused, you know, that much chaos and damage, but just from not looking in his right ear. Something he thought was just a real simple, I'm gonna swing in here around this truck and set up and back up and go to sleep. Well, it destroyed his night and the other driver's night. The other driver was asleep in bed, and he said he literally thought there was an earthquake, because it dragged his tractor completely to the right, and it was so violent that it pulled his loaded trailer about 7 or 8 feet to the right. So, you know, and all his brakes are locked. So his tractor brakes and his trailer brakes are locked. So the whole tractor is just dragging and bouncing, right? And you're hearing all this crunching, and he was in bed, and he was like, I was just so utterly confused. He was an owner operator, had just paid it off a couple months ago, and his whole week, it's horrible, and it's through no fault of his own. There was nothing he could have done really to prevent it, and there was nothing he could do. I mean, he had backed up as far as he could. He tried to play defensive. So I was freaking out the whole night, because I had to park there. usually I park somewhere where it's very defensive and where it'd be very difficult to back into me. I try to trip plan around that. But last night, just because of the way I've been running these splits and the way that I had to set up to be able to get to this customer in time to do a 10. So I basically had to do a 7-hour break, then go get washed out and fueled, and then do a 10-hour break. And my 10-hour break is going to end right before my appointment time. So it really is some clock kung fu to make all this work. But I ended up going and helping him out. He was able to get the truck started just enough. I think, so I told him, I was like, well, if you can start, because the other driver, they went into the receiver and asked if a yard dog could come out and get his trailer and take it in. They said no, because their yard trucks were not road certified. They don't have DOT numbers. So they can't leave their private property. And this staging area was right outside the customer. So the driver who hit him agreed and went down and talked to the customer and agreed to drop his trailer and get his trailer and take it in and get it live unloaded for him, which was the right thing to do. But we had to get his tractor out from under the trailer. So I'm like, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to drop your landing gear, disconnect all your lines. I'll drop your landing gear. I'll crank this thing up. It was heavy. And I started moving all kinds of stuff out from under his tires, his grill, and there was just bumper, all kinds of stuff. Said, see if you can get it to run just enough to get out from underneath his trailer. And he was able to do that. And then he backed in next to his trailer, and when he parked, smoke just started billowing out of the front and out of the exhaust behind the cab. And he got he had alarms, just lit up his dash, and it shut off. And it wouldn't start after that. I felt so bad for that dude, and I told him, I was like, look, man, because the tow truck was like, hey, I'm not going to be able to be there for 6 or 7 hours. It's humid, and he couldn't charge anything. He didn't have an APU, so he was idling when he got hit. He has to idle for power, AC or anything. I was like, bro, if you need, if you get into a jam, you charge your phone or sit in some AC for a minute, I gotta go to sleep, but don't hesitate to come knock. Really nice dude. And he never did. And when I got up at 3:30 or whatever it was this morning, looked over there, and he was still sitting in the front seat of that truck, man. And I felt so bad for him. Nobody wants that to happen. But the lesson here is just, my trainer said something that always stuck with me at the very beginning of my TNT back in early 2019. He said, always know where your ass is. Just always know where your ass is. If you're turning, whether that's a very minor turn to the left or right, or a major turn to the left or right, you need to be looking in the mirror on that side. It doesn't matter. I mean, if you're not going straight, look in the mirror on that side, period. Always. This guy was just making just the slightest right turn, and he just, in his head, and he was looking left. In his head, it was just a slight right turn. No need to look at that mirror. He was looking left and totaled someone's truck. So just always know where your ass is. Don't assume anything. So that, that was just, and it happens all the time. I know all of you who drive out there, you see it all the time. Front ends of trucks getting ripped off. And it's usually pretty violent. Just terrible. Anyway, yeah, I've been running splits, guys, which I actually like it. When I was teaming, a split was never on the radar. Like, I never ever had to consider running a split. There was just never any need to. And I only ran solo for maybe a total of 4 months, maybe. Well, I ran solo with Jenna as a passenger for a while, but I only ran solo with just me in the truck, maybe a couple months, and then 6 or so months with her on the truck before I trained her to get her CDL. So solo clock management is something that I spent very little time having to deal with. And I've really enjoyed split breaks, 8-2s and 7-3s or 3-7s, 2-8s, whatever you want to call them, because that's the way I like to sleep. Like, I don't sleep 8 hours and never have. You can call that unhealthy, whatever you want, but my entire life, 8 hours straight is just not in the cards, man. It's just not the way I sleep. Like, if I can get 5 good strong hours and then an hour or 2 nap at some point during the day, I'm solid, man. Just absolutely solid. And when you're not running splits, that's really hard. So splits have really fit in my schedule quite well, to be honest with you. But it's not just out of convenience. It's been absolutely necessary. I've ran nonstop loads since I left the terminal. I've been pre-planned the entire time. And all of them have required some intriguing planning to make it work, all of them. So it's been interesting. So I think tomorrow, well, I don't know because I'm not pre-planned, but I know that when I get to the receiver for this load tomorrow, my clock will be out. You know, I basically have to run my clock out later tonight when I get going on this trip. And so this will probably be the first day that I don't, tomorrow will be the first day that I don't have to, or I'm not really planning on running a split since I've left the terminal. So it's been interesting because I used to think, you shouldn't never really need a split. And that's so stupid. Like, they're so convenient. And I think I've complained about back before they really made these split breaks stop the clock. That was my big complaint about the DOT hours of service, is that you couldn't stop and take a nap and stop your clock. Even if you nap for 2 or 3 hours, you couldn't stop your clock. Well, now you can. It's very convenient and it works very well. There's a train off in the distance. So that's today's update. No big news outside of that, other than the kerfuffle of last night. That's the kind of shit that happens out here all the time. And always know where your ass is, man. Always know where your ass is. All right, everyone, be safe. Make good decisions, and as always, drive to thrive. Talk to you all soon.